All right, recording has started.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. Mr. Levins, should we
Okay,
start
so yeah, we can start with some new
with the
business.
Freshman Academy?
Sure. So Freshman Academy, there are two issues. We had the landscaping meeting second week of September, and it was nice because Dominic was there from CPS, Brian Kittle was there, Jay Stewart from Airmark, our OM Tony Beeler was there, and it was a nice showing of people who showed a lot of interest in what was going on in the field. And then Dominic had Chris Lieb on FaceTime, and he was walking around the field, and we were kind of just identifying issues with the field. And it was a good meeting in terms of, I think we were able to address all of our concerns. So moving forward, we're hoping for good growth and filling in the open spots and so forth and so on. So I'm very optimistic that the field at the Freshman Academy will be in good playing condition, definitely by the spring. So that's great start. Now, of course, every great start, there's kind of a counter problem. And so two issues became apparent with the initial budgeting for our campus through the construction project. They apparently only bought half of the equipment that we need to keep it watered. They built all of the couplings, which are like water faucets. There's 8 that surround the huge, field and track on the inside, but they only paid for 4 sprinklers and 4 hoses and all that stuff. So it was made abundantly clear that Taft is responsible for the other half of the equipment. So with internal projects, Mark will talk about in budgeting, purchasing the 4 other sprinklers and hoses that we need, which basically comes out to about $13,000. And like I said, everybody was in that meeting, so it was pretty much, we got to buy it. So we're looking into that. We have a quote on that, and hopefully we'll be able to get that, because obviously, a campus the size that we have over there needs a lot of groundskeeping, and the groundskeeping contract specifically says that it does not include watering. They do cutting, they'll do all that stuff, but it does not include watering. Our engineer, we have 1 engineer over there and 4.5 custodians. So the idea that, they're going to be maintaining the grounds is kind of tough. So it was acknowledged that we will have to have a separate maintenance or landscaping, kind of process set up through Airmark. So all of that was at least acknowledged. So that is good news, because it's on record that it was acknowledged. And again, there was a nice showing of CPS representation. So that's nice. But $13,000 for the sprinkling system is probably not the best, but I think overall we're still ahead of the game. Elsewhere at the Freshman Academy, the sidewalk is still kind of moving at a slow pace. Obviously, Spizzato back in June is aware of it. I'd recommend, Chris, if you want to follow up on that again, that would be great. The idea was,
Patrick, do they have construction out? Is construction occurring?
No, it's all laid out. I was told the big holdup was the electricity, as I already explained. And in typical fashion, they said they finally had an agreement that the electricity would come from the Salt Dome area, from Chicago maintenance. Because you had 3 entities. You had Chicago Public Schools, the maintenance, and then you had the Park District. So the electricity, what I was told, was coming from the maintenance, from the Salt Dome. Spizzato was not aware of that, and Ryan talked to Spizzato, and he, made his calls, that kind of came to light that was the holdup issue. When we had the landscaping meeting, we confirmed that was the issue, and my understanding it was rectified. So it should be starting, but it hasn't, and that is kind of the way things work. Like it's starting, it's not starting. So the sidewalk is, the actual construction part of it is not, but I've been told, or Ryan and I have been told, that everything's in place. So
Is the Public Building Commission running this project or CPS?
CPS in conjunction with the Park District and the Salt Dome, the maintenance.
Do you
So it's
know
like
who
a
your lead,
three-headed-
is there a lead project manager on this?
Honestly, it was Spizzato. He was the one who was taking this on for us. He was, I mean, that's the extent of what I know about the project.
Okay,
And
I'll
that's the
give him a
information
call.
we get.
I'll call him.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that'd be awesome. Freshman Academy, the punch list and everything was updated. It includes the landscaping. They've been very forthright with their information, the warranties. There was an issue with the heating, which is being addressed because obviously some of these warranties are way past a year, so they don't expire in a year. Obviously, the heat is one of those things. So they were fixing that. That was just last week when it was cold. So hopefully the follow-up, the next time it gets cold, that we will be able to, have the heat at the TFA. That's about it on our end in terms of facilities I'm sorry, no. The other big thing, trying to get ahead of the inclement weather that's going to eventually come to us. A need was very obvious that, our Airmark partners, they are responsible for plowing the roadways and the parking lots. The sidewalks are left to our custodial team and our engineer, which again is one engineer and 4.5 custodians. They're responsible for clearing the sidewalks, which we know that campus is pretty huge. So we identified like a John Deere tractor. That's exactly what it is. Or it might be a Gator, similar to what we have at the varsity campus. But this one, we needed to get the plow for the sidewalks. We needed the cover for the person driving it. We needed the trailer. All that stuff is there. It'll be the only service vehicle we have at the Freshman Academy. And that came out to around $22,000. And Mark will talk about that in budget too. So those are like the two big Freshman Academy needs at this point, is the Gator and the watering device of the equipment for the field. So
You
that
said
kinda
22,000?
Yeah, it's about 22. Mark has I can pull it up. to
That's
give you
okay.
exact
No, I'm
numbers.
sure
Yeah.
we'll learn more about it in the budget. As far as the TFA is concerned, did we address in the gym, the backboard was square against and smack dab in the middle of the hoop?
Yeah,
Did we move it to the left or the right where it should have been?
yeah. Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
We walked through last month, Chris, when we kind of met. We walked through the building with a team, Ryan and I, and kind of went through the punch list. And thankfully, like 90% of the things that the faculty members had identified were done. And so there was
Excellent.
just a few other items that needed to be followed up on. So that
That's
was
terrific.
also a very productive meeting.
That's terrific. Anyone else on the committee have questions in regards to the Freshman Academy before we move to the varsity campus?
Hey, Pat, real quick, I just got off the phone with the alderman. What's the holdup on the walkway?
Just waiting for construction to start still.
It still hasn't started.
I'm pretty sure. No, when I was just there, it hadn't started.
Okay, and you're under the impression that Nick's handling that, right?
Yes, yes, that's my impression. I'll reach out to Ryan just to get a confirmation, but I'll just confirm it.
Okay.
It's one of those things that kind of just, it's there and it's on the list and it just keeps kind of dragging, which you'll see as a theme in some other areas too. But I'll confirm it right now.
All right, thanks.
Yep. So I'll get back to.
Gee, it sounds to me that we don't even have a project manager. I mean, if we could have like one, and this is why the Public Building Commission, they're usually the ones who orchestrate everything. If they're not leading this, then Pat's right. It's like a three-headed monster. This is not on the priority of the Park District, of CPS, or, so we you know, Alderman Spizzato can't be the project manager for this. We need one agency to step up and just get it done.
I agree.
Yes.
Like when we had the field, we had Tom Airy, and he was always the one that was
Correct.
coordinating everything. We have a problem, we go to Tom. This one doesn't have a
Yeah.
head to the snake. Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we're close, which is
Yes.
great. And ideally, if we can get this thing done before we go back to school, this is another, you know, all of you have been saying it since I got here, it is another means of ingress egress to this campus, which, you know, we desperately need. So it sounds like we're very
Agreed.
close. You just need a final push.
Yes, I would agree with that assessment.
Okay. Should we move to the varsity campus, Mr. Levens?
Sure. Let's do it. So, as Mark will attest to, we have been, you know, since May going back and forth with this driver's ed parking lot. It was bid out. Buckeye got the contract. Then for some reason there was something wrong with the bid, so they rebid. And you know, it's kind of the new bid was accepted. It was a different company, which is unfortunate because I'm a big fan of Buckeye. They did a great job in the driver's ed lot. Every project that, I mean, the engineers lot, every project they've worked on, they've been great. So they basically, it's been kind of stalled. We had our money in place since May, CPS didn't, and there was all this kind of merry-go-round. I was called at the end of September and said, all the money's in place and we're starting, but they still haven't started. So I reached out today to try to get an update just to tell the committee. And I was told they will start Thursday, October 15th. And I said, for real? And they said, yes, for real. And he said, it's the best news I've had all day. So I've been given another start date for Thursday, October 15th. And, you know, I'm hoping they're out there.
You just got that now, Pat?
I get that was a text I just received 15 minutes ago. I said I needed to know by 4:30. So, but again, I've had a phone call saying they were starting before too. So,
Well,
but
that's
this one I said for real, and they said for real. So
okay. Good.
we'll see what happens. Yeah, so it should start Thursday, and let's cross our fingers that this is for real, and that would be great.
What's their construct time they're telling you? How long for the build?
Oh, I don't think it'll be long. It'll be a couple of weeks. You know, the interesting thing about this process is, you know, like I said, we've had the bid. Nothing's changed in that parking lot.
Hey,
And
is
the
that
latest
walkway
delay
done yet
happened
in
because
the,
also the
between
company
the building?
said,
Yeah,
we need,
going to the field.
Mark, you need to
Has it been
mute.
started?
So the interesting thing was, all of a sudden, the company reaches out to CPS and says they need to have more trucks to remove more dirt. And my response was, what do you mean? This lot has, nothing's changed. The scope of work is the same. They knew what they had coming into this. So I don't know who's going to pay extra money if this company's trying to get it, but I know it's not us. So
Are they,
I didn't understand any of that. And
what's
I'm
our timeline,
confident-
Pat? Like 2 months?
I don't think it'll take 2 months at all. I think we'll have it done before November 6th, the theoretical time that we're supposed to go hybrid.
So a month, assuming
Yeah,
there's
I
no
think-
inclement weather, right? So,
You know, my understanding is the only thing that's going to really stop that is the severe cold, like below, what was it, 40, whatever, 2 degrees. So if it freezes, which, you know, I know we had snow last October at Halloween, but that went away pretty quick. November was pretty mild. I think what I've seen in forecasts is that we're not projected to have a too horrible of a winter. So I really envision this getting completed by November 6th. And that's my hope,
Yeah.
you know, going forward.
well, once they get going, and we get they'll have a project manager for this. We can,
Yeah.
you know, we can get daily updates on the time schedule and
Yep.
hold them accountable.
Yep, as soon as they're on site, I agree. We will be able to follow up on that.
That's good news. Okay, what else at the
It is
city
good news.
campus?
Hey, real quick, just circling back, Pat, I did talk to Ryan. Ryan says he saw someone out there. The last time he's seen people out in the path was a month ago. Nothing, it's been crickets since then. I talked to Spizzato. Spizzato said you should give him a call and tell him who he should call to become the project manager on that, okay? So who do you
Perfect.
think we can give that to?
Let me email the same people working on our parking lot. Now that, let me wait till Thursday, so our one parking lot is done, ready to go. Then I'll email that same team and ask about the walkway.
Okay, let's go. Good enough.
Okay.
Thanks,
All
Pat.
right. Yep. So on a sad note, we planted these evergreen trees along the alley fence on the turf field. We planted them back in May. They were part of like our original design for the stadium. They all died, which is very interesting. But I had the company that facilitated the landscapers. We had a meeting about it, last Thursday? And we went out there and we looked at all the trees, and he's going back to the landscaper and saying, what happened. I'll be honest with you. That's kind of on the other side. They didn't give us a care plan following up after they put them in. They kind of put the trees in and left. I'm not a botanist. I don't know anything about taking care of that stuff. So we talked about it. He's going back to see if what they can do to make the situation right. So I'm optimistic that we'll come up to some agreement to replace the 14 or actually 20 trees over there. It's definitely a bummer. Just, the thing is, I remember talking to the landscape architect who, they're great. They did the turf field and he helped me with this. It wasn't even really part of the project. And I remember telling him, hey, I need the lowest maintenance tree possible, right? Like, we're just not out there all the time, especially now. And, so the lowest maintenance tree possible, and they all died. So we're
They
doing
getting
investigating.
replaced on them?
I'm working on it. I said there's got to be some kind of warranty. I talked to the architect that kind of designed it, and he said typically there's a year, but I have to kind of go back and we met. We'll do a follow up, and hopefully I'll have some good news about it, by November. So the trees was very sad because they looked so nice when we first put them in. So hopefully we'll fix that, and I'll let you know. But I wanted you, if in case you're driving by and see a bunch of dead trees, you're not like, what happened? So
Well, I'm no botanist
Yeah.
either, but if they all died, Pat, I mean, either we got crap product or there maybe perhaps is something with the soil that this particular tree doesn't, all of them died. Something's up.
yeah, I agree.
And
That's why I've asked for an investigation on it.
and either way,
I agree with you.
if they didn't test the soil, again, not a landscape architect or a botanist, but to me, that's like the ABCs. You got to make sure that the soil can absorb and do what it needs to do, to be compatible
I
with
agree.
whatever we're planting. And if they
and
gave us shoddy trees, then that's their responsibility to replace them.
I just
I
wonder
100% agree. And in the contract, it actually talks about the type of soil, the depth of the trees, and so forth. So again, I've made inquiries, we've met, and we'll follow up. I'm not going to let it go because that's a lot of trees and they look nice. So, we'll figure it out one way or another, and I'll stay on top of it.
Anita, you had something you wanted to say?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
I'm wondering, I'm hoping that we weren't supposed to be watering. I mean, it was a drought this summer, so I hope they don't push back and say, well, did you water it, 3 times a week or whatever? Because if there are variety, I don't know what they were, but it could be a water issue and they may not.
I'm kind of aware of that, but see, my
That's the case.
kind
I'm
of
not sure.
contention, which I already
Needs to
brought
be a
up.
pretty good-
Yeah, I agree with that aspect, but as I've learned through the TFA and that project, once they finish, they're supposed to present a care plan. And I've talked to my OM, I've talked to my chief engineer, and I know myself, and quite frankly, they never discussed caring for the trees. Now in retrospect, yes, I've learned that there should have been some water, there should have been a plan. But again, I did not know, my engineer did not know, and my OM didn't know. So I'm looking for the best solution across the board. And I'm gonna tell you what, moving forward, I'll certainly know. A rough lesson. The other projects at the TFA, I'm excited to say we are going to be moving forward with the library project. All the carpet will be removed from the library and the two conjoining rooms. Well, one's the president room, that'll be taken out. And then office, which is what, 180G and 180F, the nasty carpet that actually had water damage on it, all of that will be removed, hopefully starting Monday. In time for the next round of the SAT on the 27th. I'm trying to, run these two things together. We have the Office of Library, CPS Office of Library team coming in on Thursday, and they're going to weed through our collection. Our goal is to kind of put the best collection we have and get rid of the things that haven't been checked out in 5 to 10 years, 20 years maybe. And really kind of just, as far as our print collection goes, only the necessities that kids have been using. But that's the best part, is that the CPS Office of Libraries, and that's Ms. Thornston, she and her team will be in to weed that. And as I kind of bragged about or celebrated, the security team has been so good that, I've got them ready to pack up books for either the warehouse or for removal. So hopefully we will have that all emptied by Monday, so they can pull out the carpet and start the tiling.
And what's our construction time
So
on
that's good
that,
news.
Pat?
Well, I would like to have it emptied and the construction starts Monday, and I'd like it done by the following Tuesday. I might be, I tell you what, that project should be completed before the next LSC meeting. Also.
Okay, and we're not replacing it with carpet, right?
Absolutely not. We are putting a tile similar to the forum in the main office. So that way we'll also be able to replace it. We'll have some on hand for if there's ever damaged tiles and stuff. So no, we're going to maintain our, excuse me 1 second. I have a security team calling me. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, there should be no carpeting in school. It's just, it's too bad on people that have allergies and spills. And I know that they have little ways of, you can do like 2x2 sections. And if a section gets ruined, it's just not good. Carpeting's not good in schools. Maybe in a band room where you're trying to insulate some of the sound, but that would be, go ahead.
What's your thought, Principal G? So odds are you're going to clear out a lot of books, is my guess.
Yeah.
So you're going to have some extra space. What are you thinking spatially, how to reutilize the library?
Well, my thought is it should be libraries are obsolete. They really are. If you look at library science the last 20 years, they become media centers. They really do. And so we need, in that library, we only had about 6 working computers. So I can see a whole bank of computers on one side. I would like to see computers where kids can sit on a computer and also plug their phone in too. I think we're lacking on kids. Too often I go in the library and there's, all the outlets are taken for the kids. So we need to bump it up into the 21st century there. So I've been talking to Pat, I'd like one whole section to be an area where we could have a big screen on one side and make it almost like a theater too. I would love theater seating in there. So that's my vision, but a lot has to do with money right now. But I think, we'll talk more about that in the budget committee, but I think there's some good things we can do with it now. I mean, the computers or the books are a joke. They really are. When I want to laugh, I just go in there and see these things like, books that don't even mentioned landing on the moon. I mean, come on, these are books science books that go up to like Jimmy Carter. So yeah, we need an overhaul. Why do we have almanacs and encyclopedias? I mean, it's just so yeah. Nobody likes to throw books away, but kids can get any information right now with Google in about 5 seconds. And Dewey Decimal, go to sleep. We don't need you anymore. So we just got to reconfigure it, and we will. It's going to be. I mean, I want to look at some of the state of the art, not high schools, but colleges, and what do colleges have, and that's what we should be looking at. I don't want to, So we got ideas, and when we've got the budget, we can do that. So
no, that's great. I mean, and this is what Pat is doing is the necessities, right? We got to start cleaning house, and now the visionary part of your brain can start kicking in and getting best media centers, right? So
yeah. So our long-term vision, obviously, we had a grandiose plan for that area, as Mark just kind of mentioned. But so phase 1 will be getting the floor replaced. And then phase 2 will be how do we arrange that space and what's next. But I do think at the end, it's going to be a beautiful use of space and still function as a media center, library, media center, meeting room, all kinds of different things we've talked about. Mark's theater idea, we'll see. Well, I think the key number 1 is phase 1, and then you can go from there.
Well, it's a great case. When both my girls were coming in, all the meetings were in the library. It was just, we had one of those pull down, like from when I was in grammar school, one of those projector and the projector. So, we got to market ourselves, up. And that was one of the first rooms that I, was really exposed to repeatedly as a parent.
Yeah. Well, it'll be renewed and be awesome. Other good news, the lighting inside the pool, which has been like a dungeon for since I can recall, is being replaced. In fact, it might even be completed, updated with LCD fixtures, and it's going to be much more friendly and lit up. So that part's great news. Let's see. I think that's kind of where we're at. The cement work for door 3 and door 4, I mean, quite frankly, that's Murphy Jones, which they did the forum, they did the main office. I don't know what the holdup is with this project, but I'm on it. I mean, they're supposed to start that too. I'm not sure why it hasn't started. So that's the cement work outside doors 3 and doors 4. And again, I'm keep being told that it's starting. So maybe I'll try to get a lock-in date on that. So I'll let you know. Hopefully I can report next month that these projects are completely done, because they should be. It's been in the queue since May. So, and that also is, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, finish with doors 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's just Murphy Jones again. They did great work in the main office, great work in the forum, great work for Office 220. And for some reason, this project is slipping through on there, and I have to figure out why.
I was going to ask if we've gotten any further along with CPS on the gym situation and the temperature control.
No, the climate control, no.
Yeah.
That's really something that long-term, and quite frankly, I think what's going to have to come even before that is going to be our rooftop units. They are way past their lifespan, and those things are not cheap to replace. There's 7 of them, and each of them is probably 125 to 150 grand. And that means you get you get the big lift, the forklift, and I mean, those almost become probably even above the climate of the gym, because our engineer is up there, putting his magic, fixing it. I mean, even in the recent run, it got really cold, because that's the rooftop unit. And the boiler wasn't set in. I mean, really hot. I'm sorry, the hottest rooftop unit. And, the main office was dying of heat. So, but it got fixed again. So whatever, they keep patching this outdated equipment. But that's something that is long-term planning, the climate control, the rooftop units. Those are kind of big ones. Another project that kind of got lost because of the bidding process was the East Campus border fence that were connects the turf field to the Northcott parking lot. We were going to take down that kind of unsightly chain link fence. But again, the process took so long, and then they forced you to spend your money, so we had to put it elsewhere, which was technology, which is always a good thing too, because obviously we needed those, the Chromebooks and the laptops. So really, it's kind of nice that we ended up buying all those, because we are now down to like 3 laptops left, because our staff, by the time we got all the outdated equipment replaced, I got to order some more as soon as CPS finishes negotiating with CDW for the new laptop cost. That'll be something hopefully next month we're ready to. I just need to have like 15 on hand for issues that pop up. But I believe we're down to I think three. So all that played out fine. But the East Campus border fence is, that's also Murphy Jones. I think I said to the guy, replace my trees. Let's talk about the fence. So we'll see. That, if we want to move forward with that, that was it was $61,967. And again, originally when we had all that money kind of ready to lose, and maybe that's what'll come up then if that happens again. I don't know. But maybe that's something we can look into. Mark has that, I think, on the budget committee, just as discussion, if that's something that our group wants to look at. It is a very unsightly fence along that border, all along Northcott. And as Chris mentioned earlier, it's nice that we're branding and our campus looks so nice. It might be something we want to look into. I'm trying to think what else.
Question?
I think that's. Yeah, go ahead.
So going back to the rooftop AC units and the main gym climate control, since those are much higher price points, and that's going to be something that comes out of our completely comes out of our budget, or is that something that we would negotiate where maybe CPS would come up with half and we would come up with half? And if that's the case, how do we sock away that money for next year or the year, or 2 years from now? How do we do all that?
Kathy, I think that's on them. And I think that's why it's just in the stalling process, right?
Okay.
Because, we can't be, there's 7 of those. Our budget's not capable of,
Right.
And I don't even know I don't, if you're asking my opinion, it's on them.
Okay.
This is their building, the upkeep to, come on. We do a lot, and
Yeah.
this is something that they need to do. It has been put in, our OM, Tony Beeler, I asked him about this. He said it's on their radar. And I'm guessing the more they break down, the more we have to patch, and eventually it's not going to work, and they're going to be forced to replace it. And hopefully it's not during a horrible weather climate time. That's but that's how CPS works.
And you
Well,
think
that's
that's
how
the
the
case for-
Kathy, the director of facilities, if it has something to do with the safety or the physical construct of the building, which this is, that
Yes.
automatically jumps up to,
Yeah.
that's what they focus on. Like the
Okay.
fence, the pool lighting, the carpet in the library.
Right.
They don't, but this is where I'm with Pat. If it goes, they have to replace it, because that means the kids can't go to school.
Right. You think is that the case for the gym
Yeah.
climate control too, or does that sort of fall in a nice to have place?
Well, that was the card I tried to play, right? When
Yeah.
they came after us, kind of like, oh, what, my engineer team, this and that. I'm like, wait a minute. And then I said, hey, this is a safety issue. You guys got to fix it. And then it was like crickets.
Yeah.
But I did have a guy come out back in, what was it, May or June, and he did walk through, and I explained to him the issue. But again, that's another thing where, And quite frankly, they're probably looking at us going, you just got a new campus, you just got this, you just got that, you got a
Complaining.
field, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm sure that's part of their thinking,
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's part of their internal discussion. I mean, I'm not part of that. I'm just theorizing, but it is.
Right.
Hey, Pat, let me ask
So
you
we
something.
just have to say, sure.
We haven't talked about this, but I just thought about it now. What if we entertain the idea of taking that fence down? Just not replacing it. It's not like it really keeps anybody out. They can just go around. We don't have a fence on the other side. They can just walk through that and walk to the field. So I'm thinking maybe we take the fence down, we put up maybe like 8 benches, like steel benches where people can kind of walk their dogs and sit on the bench and it looks a little nicer. I think we might have to entertain that idea. I think that opens us up a little bit. So something to think about, okay?
Yeah, that's actually not bad. My only concern is, and part of even reducing the size of the fence, which is in our plan, more decorative, is I am concerned about the softball field there and how many balls does the softball field stop from flying into yards and cars and stuff. I mean, that is something that is kind of on the radar. And so I don't know if nothing would be good, but I honestly not sure. I think I'm half tempted, or maybe Mark, you want to do this and ask the neighbors on Northcott, hey, do foul balls come this way a lot? So that'd be my only kind of concern, because I like to try to think of both sides.
Yeah.
Nothing like upset neighbors. But I was very curious why that one section of that fence is taller than the other section. And it's also offset the line, like it comes inward and makes like a.
There used to be a radio tower, Pat. There used to be a radio tower there.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, and then they
All
had
right.
maintenance to
See,
come
I'm
in.
glad I asked you.
Yeah, but neighbors had come to me and said,
Okay,
maybe
so
we need to put up like Cubs ivy on the fence to make it look a little better. So that's another idea. But here's the negative side if we do take down the fence, and I'm not against taking down the fence, but I think people getting off, we have a lot of traffic where kids exit door 1 and walk down that path and then walk down Northcott to the bus stop. I don't think they do that anymore. I think they will just kind of skip right across the field and eventually there'd be a path there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, actually, you and I discussed that. Yeah.
Okay.
You and I did discuss that. So I believe that is it on my end, unless I missed something.
I think that
So
covers
I'm
it.
open-
Any questions from the committee that weren't asked?
One last thing, there was a question about when all the lights being replaced in the parking lot. There was one that was not connected near the tennis courts, and maybe it was disconnected during installation. Did we find out about that?
Honestly, Kathy, I haven't. I'll put it back on the list and try to follow up.
Okay,
But I know the one you're referring to. We talked about it last month, and I just kind of forgot about it.
totally cool.
And I'll write a note to myself right now.
All right.
And if you all discussed this last month, I do apologize for my absence. Do we have any, Principal G, is there any money for facilities this year in our budget?
Yeah, and so and that's what I want to talk a little bit about budget.
We
Right
can-
now, I think in our internal accounts, I think I need all the SBB money right now because we're going to need positions and I want to hold off on that. And if we get to the end of the year, maybe we can have a small project at the end of the year. But I think I could cut out $300,000 of internal accounts that I think we could use. Here's the key is that all the fees this year had to go towards online learning. And I get that. And so I put out the fee letter and everybody got it and it was for $300. We lowered it. So all that money will be brought in, which is not going to make us broke. But right now, I think we have probably about $500,000, $600,000 in our internal accounts. And so we're pretty good there. But so I think we can spend down some of that. And I'm thinking about $300,000 that we could put towards some projects around the school, because this is really a golden opportunity to do facilities right now since nobody's there. And what people need to know is if we could do it now, that just saves us in our budget later on where we can just kind of wipe it clean. And then we'll always have little pissy things to do back, sorry, Amelia, but little things around to do, but not nothing big anymore. We just knock those things out when kids aren't here. I think that would benefit us. So yeah, we do have money, about 300,000, I would say, maybe even more.
Okay, that's good. I
Yeah,
can't believe we have anything this year.
Yeah.
yeah, I know that kind of hurt us when they said just
Unfortunately-
online learning. You could tell that the people that made that rule up have never worked in a school. They have no idea on how nowadays it's gone are the days when my engineers would get $300,000 in their budget and they could fix up the facilities and be proactive. It's not like that anymore. So these people have no idea, like who's gonna fix my locker room? Nobody's lining up to fix that. You know, hey, you just got $71 million. You got $14 million. I'm not gonna give you anything. You know, it doesn't work like that anymore. So, I mean,
Yeah.
anyway, I'm just.
And I agree with Mark. That's why we really need to pinpoint kind of the important things that we want to get done.
Yeah, and the next month, I think Pat and I are gonna sit down and get a capital suggestion budget out, and then we can just see how much we have, and then we'll sit down with this facilities, and then we'll, working with the budget and say, listen, this is what we have, this is what facility says we should do with it, and if we prioritize it, like this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and maybe we don't do the $150,000 one because we could do 6 little ones for 150,000. But that's not for me to decide. That's for everybody. I tend to lean on doing jobs that benefit as many students as possible. You know, instead of just doing a couple of things. And also saving us money. I mean, we have an opportunity to buy those 2 vans right now, $55,000 each. That's $110,000. I wouldn't mind getting those. They wouldn't come till the spring. But I think that's a golden opportunity for us to save $60,000 a year if we get those vans. I mean, they're paid off in 2 years, and then everything else is profit. So, yeah,
Okay,
let's go to
well,
budget.
we're 9 minutes. If Mr. Levens, you've spoken your piece here, and if there are no further questions from the committee, I think this is a wrap.
Real quick, I was going to say Gwen, Ms. Raguso.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Amelia. Amelia, what do you get a pulse from the students? Like, what facilities do you think, like, that when they're talking about, like, they would really want fixed up? Like, you know, I can't believe our school is like this. I mean, what are you hearing out there, if anything, about our facilities?
Not much anymore because obviously online learning, but while I was like, during actual physical learning, I often heard a lot about like the locker rooms and very, very much the pool, because everyone thought the pool was pretty gross, and like everyone was like, oh, I don't want to swim in it. So that was a lot of it.
Yeah, you're right in the same thinking we are. So that's pretty good. Locker room and swimming pool. So very good.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Great
All right,
meeting.
thank you. Anita, where are you at?
Our backyard.
Your backyard? Oh. I didn't know whether you were at the lake or not.
No. In the yard, but it's getting cold, so I'm going in.
All right, we'll see you next.
All right.
I'm going to leave the link open, everybody.
Okay.
All right, thanks,
Okay.
Jeff.